Hello everyone and welcome back to Next Gen Gaming for the semifinals here at the Star Wars Unlimited 4K at SCG CON Richmond. Unfortunately, we have skipped the quarterfinal match. The top 8 players decided to do a prize split with the cash prizes. And we have 4 remaining players that have decided to play it out for the trophy and see who will be crowned champion here at SCG CON Richmond. The semifinal feature match will be Iden Blue versus Sabine Red. We have Jordan Hanning on the left piloting Iden Blue, and Garrett Steedly on the right piloting Sabine Red. To open things up in the first game, Jordan starts with the initiative, and he will play an Inferno 4. Look at the top 2 cards, and he decides to put both cards onto the bottom of the deck. And Garrett plays a Partisan Insurgent. Jordan claiming the initiative, and Garrett getting started with the Sabine Pings, using the Sabine action ability, 1 damage to each base. And with the initiative, Jordan will quickly fire out a Power of the Dark Side, defeating the Partisan Insurgent. And Garrett will follow up with another unit in the ground arena, Fighters for Freedom. And now the action back over to Jordan with some options. He could heal a damage with the Iden action ability. He has a ready Inferno 4. But he will just claim the initiative, and Garrett will use the Sabine action ability to deal 1 damage to each base. The initiative does seem very important for Jordan in this matchup, as it allows him to minimize the damage he is taking. Jordan's Iden Blue deck is an event-heavy deck with a ton of removal events, and having the initiative allows him to use those removal events to remove threats before they can ever deal any damage to his base. And we see another Power of the Dark Side right away for Jordan, defeating Fighters for Freedom. And Garrett will follow up with yet another threat into the ground arena, K2SO. Now we are in round 3, which means both players have 4 resources. And that means that it is go time for Garrett. It is the Sabine flip turn. So with the action over to Jordan, he will very likely take more actions this turn, considering that Sabine is still going to do some work. Jordan will use the Iden action ability to heal 1 damage from his base, and then Garrett uses the Sabine action ability to deal 1 damage to each base, putting that 1 damage back on Jordan's base and 1 damage on his own. Jordan attacking with Inferno 4, 2 damage to Garrett's base, and then Sabine being deployed, 3 damage to Jordan's base, 5 damage on each base, and Jordan will retain the initiative. Jordan has been on a real run with this Iden Blue deck. Not a lot of players expecting it. And Jordan actually ended up the #1 seed, 7-1 through the 8 rounds of Swiss. Defeated Blake Edmondson in the final round to take that #1 seed away from Blake. And here we are with just 4 players remaining. Jordan a chance to take the Iden Blue to the top. He's been very good against Sabine today as well. He's faced 5 Sabine decks already, and he has won each time. He has faced 1 other Sabine Red as well, so this does seem to be a good matchup for Jordan. Here to start round 4, the Entrenched going down onto Sabine, keeping Sabine from attacking Jordan's base. Garrett responds with a red 3 into the space arena, first space unit for Garrett here in game 1. And then Jordan playing I Am Your Father, and Garrett will allow the 7 damage to go through and defeat red 3. Does not want Jordan drawing 3 cards. And then Garrett will attack Jordan's base for 4 damage with K2SO, 9 damage on Jordan's base. Jordan just claiming the initiative, and another threat in space for Garrett. A Green Squadron A-Wing. It is great to see Garrett here in the top 4 as well, with a little bit of a different variation of Sabine. Sabine Green, of course, has been the most popular Sabine deck, really, since this game released a couple months ago. Sabine Yellow certainly making a splash as well, but it's great to see Sabine Red here in the top 4 at the Richmond 4K. To start things out here in round 5, Jordan will take Inferno 4 attack. The Green Squadron A-Wing put 2 damage onto the A-Wing. And a damage back onto Inferno 4, and then Garrett will use that A-Wing to attack Jordan's base for 3. Now 12 damage on Jordan's base, and here comes a Cargo Juggernaut. That is one big shielded unit, a shielded 4/6, and he will heal 4 damage from his base because he controls another Vigilance unit. So Jordan back to just 8 damage on his base. And then Garrett will take K2SO and put that 4 damage right back onto Jordan's base. 12 damage on now. And now the action back over to Jordan. He does have 6 resources. He could use the Iden action ability if he so chooses. He can also deploy Iden at this stage. Does he deploy or does he just claim the initiative? And once again, Jordan will just claim the initiative. Jordan has not let go of the initiative once here so far in game 1. And Garrett will play another threat into the ground arena, Partisan Insurgent. Again, Jordan has claimed. Garrett will take another action. He will use the epic action on Tarkentown to deal the remaining damage needed to Inferno 4 to defeat Inferno 4. That will allow Garrett to try and protect the Green Squadron A-Wing. And it looks like Jordan will put both of the top cards of his deck onto the bottom of his deck from the When Defeated trigger on Inferno 4. And we will move on to the next round. 12 damage on Jordan's base, 5 damage on Garrett's base. Garrett does have control in the ground arena, but Jordan not far behind with that Cargo Juggernaut. Iden has yet to be deployed, so that is still an option for Jordan at any point moving forward in this game. And to start us off here in this round, Jordan will take the Cargo Juggernaut, attack and defeat K2SO, removing the shield from Cargo Juggernaut. And Garrett will use the When Defeated trigger on K2SO to deal 3 damage to Jordan's base. And then another 3 damage to Jordan's base with the Green Squadron A-Wing. So 18 damage onto Jordan's base. And with the action back over to Jordan, here comes another copy of Cargo Juggernaut. And since he controls the other Cargo Juggernaut, he will heal another 4 damage from his base back down to 14 damage on. A lot of healing so far here in game 1 with those Cargo Juggernauts. Jordan has been able to heal 8 damage up to this point with just those 2 cards. Garrett will use the Partisan Insurgent to deal 3 damage to Jordan's base. The Partisan Insurgent does get the benefit of Raid 2 when attacking, getting the 2 extra power because he does have another aggression unit. And here comes the Iden deploy. Now Jordan threatening to heal even more damage each time one of Garrett's units is defeated. Jordan will be able to heal 1 damage from his base with the Iden leader unit in play. Now the action is back over to Garrett, and he does have access to a very clean answer for Iden in his deck. And it is one of the real benefits to running Sabine Red. It is aggression, and he has a copy in hand. Here comes aggression. He is going to defeat 2 upgrades. He will defeat the shield token and the entrenched that is currently on his Sabine leader unit, and then deal 4 damage to Iden, defeating Iden with the shield token gone. Aggression is such a good card against Iden. And now Jordan has just claimed the initiative after the aggression play. And with Sabine freed up, Garrett will attack Jordan's base with Sabine. 20 damage on Jordan's base. And Garrett will play another copy of Green Squadron A-Wing into the space arena. And we will move on to the next round. The only thing that worries me a little bit in this spot for Garrett, putting the other copy of Green Squadron A-Wing down, a super laser blast would feel so good right now for Jordan. He would get extreme value, but I don't think he has it in his hand. He is going to attack with the cargo juggernaut first, defeating the partisan insurgent. So the door open here for Garrett on his first action of the round. He will attack with Sabine. 3 damage to Jordan's base. 23 damage on. And here comes Vigilance for Jordan. And one of the real benefits to running Iden Blue, you get Vigilance for just 4 resources. So he will defeat the Green Squadron A-Wing that did not have any damage and heal 5 from his base. So Jordan back to 18 damage on base. And then Garrett will fire right back at Jordan's base. 3 more damage with the Green Squadron A-Wing. Jordan using the Iden action ability to heal 1 damage from his base. 20 damage on. Garrett has yet to spend any resources here in this round. So with 7 available, it looks like he will pay 4 for another copy of Aggression. He will ready his Sabine leader unit and draw a card. But Jordan has the answer. He had a takedown in hand with 4 ready resources. And Jordan will play a takedown, defeating the Sabine leader unit. And for the first time here in Game 1, Garrett will claim the initiative. With Garrett claiming the initiative, Jordan will take his other ready cargo juggernaut and deal 4 damage to Garrett's base. So Garrett has 9 damage on his base. But it certainly has to feel good for Garrett to finally have the initiative. And now Garrett holding the initiative. He does have the ready Green Squadron A-Wing that could immediately attack for 3 damage. And that's a great play for Garrett. He's got a Fleet Lieutenant. That is going to allow the Green Squadron A-Wing to attack for 5 between the Raid 2 and the 2 extra power from Fleet Lieutenant. So 5 damage on Jordan's base, 25 total now. And here comes a Sentinel unit into the space arena for Jordan, a system patrol craft. And Garrett will play another space unit. This time it is a Red 3. So the action back over to Jordan with 4 ready resources. He does have 2 ready cargo juggernauts in the ground arena as well. Jordan's certainly in a spot where he has to be very careful. Just 5 damage away from losing Game 1. And Jordan is going to use the cargo juggernaut to attack and defeat the Fleet Lieutenant. So the Cargo Juggernaut will lose the shield token. Garrett will use the Sabine action ability, 1 damage to each base. And then Jordan will instantly heal that 1 damage with the Iden action ability. So 25 damage on Jordan's base, 10 damage on Garrett's base. And here comes the third and final copy of Power of the Dark Side here in Game 1. Garrett will choose to defeat the Green Squadron A-Wing. And Garrett, having claimed the initiative for the second straight round, he will take 4 damage from the Cargo Juggernaut for a total of 14 damage on Garrett's base. So Garrett does have the initiative, but a system patrol craft currently in the way of 3 possible damage from Red 3. So Garrett has to find another way to deal some damage early here in this round and try to close out this game. For a cause I believe in would certainly be pretty good right now. And Garrett is going to play Precision Fire. That is going to give Red 3 Saboteur. And it also allows Garrett to attack with Red 3 right away. So Red 3 will be able to get around the Sentinel unit in space. And that is going to be 3 damage to Jordan's base, 28 damage on. Garrett just 2 damage shy of taking Game 1. And with the action back over to Jordan, he will attack with System Patrol Craft, 3 damage to Garrett's base. Jordan now being aggressive, showing 11 damage on board between the 2 Cargo Juggernauts and System Patrol Craft. That would be enough to win the game for Jordan. Garrett just needs to find 2 more damage over the next 2 actions. Sabine action ability, 1 damage to each base, 29 damage on Jordan's base. And now with an attack from Cargo Juggernaut, 22 damage on Garrett's base. The next action will decide the game. Garrett does not have another way to deal 1 damage, and he will come 1 damage short of taking Game 1. Jordan is victorious here in Game 1 of the semifinal match at the Star Wars Unlimited 4K at SCG CON Richmond. The players are ready for Game 2 after what was a very exciting Game 1 here in the semifinal match of the Star Wars Unlimited 4K at SCG CON Richmond. Jordan was able to take the victory in Game 1 and now finds himself just 1 win away from a spot in the finals. But my goodness, what a game it was. Garrett came up just 1 damage shy from taking Game 1. He desperately needed a For a Cause I Believe in there at the end and just could not find it when he really needed it. For those that are interested, the deck list for both of these players will be posted in the description below. For Game 2, I am sure that Garrett will be bringing in the 3 copies of Wolf from the sideboard. Power Failure could also be a solid card in this matchup with the shield tokens running around for Jordan as well as the Entrenched. For Jordan, Make an Opening could certainly find its way in the deck as well as Devotion, which could give him a great opportunity at some more healing. Count Dooku doesn't seem bad as well. Count Dooku can target some pesky space units that you are having trouble dealing with. So here in Game 2, Garrett starting with the initiative, playing Wolf in round 1. Jordan just claimed the initiative and then the action ability. being used on Sabine. 1 damage to each base, and with the initiative here in round 2, a Death Trooper coming onto the board for Jordan, dealing 2 damage to Wolf and defeating him. And then Garrett will use the epic action on Tarkentown to deal 3 more damage to the Death Trooper, defeating the Trooper. Jordan will use the Iden action ability, healing 1 damage from his base, and then Garrett will use the Sabine action ability, 1 damage put on each base. And Garrett will put 2 units down into the ground arena, Sabine and Benthic 2 tubes. Jordan is able to retain the initiative, and being able to put 2 units down onto the board for Garrett is a very strong play, because he can dodge the immediate power of the dark side, leaving him with no board. But here comes a pretty strong play for Jordan as well. He will start the turn with a Lieutenant Childson, revealing 4 Vigilance cards. The rest of the cards in his hand, and that is going to make Lieutenant Childson a 6/6, putting 4 experience tokens on him. And now with the action back over to Garrett, he will play aggression, and that is going to be a big momentum swinging play. He will defeat 2 upgrades on Childson, which brings him back to a 4/4, and then deal 4 damage to Childson, defeating him. So we have learned in this match, aggression is so good against Iden and Lieutenant Childson. Jordan just claiming the initiative. Garrett will attack with Benthic 2 tubes, 2 damage to Jordan's base, and give Sabine raid 2 for this phase. So Sabine comes across the board for 5 damage. Then the leader, Sabine action ability used, another damage to Jordan's base. And then Garrett deploys Sabine and will attack and deal another 3 damage. So 12 damage on Jordan's base, just 3 rounds in. The timing of that aggression for Garrett could not have been any better. And the momentum is completely on Garrett's side of the table now. And we will see how Jordan responds. He is facing down 3 threats in the ground arena. He is going to need to try and minimize the damage. The Benthic 2 tubes essentially can net 4 damage. So Jordan taking a look, and now he has to decide which threat does he answer first. And he is going to play Vigilance, defeat the Benthic 2 tubes, and he will heal 5 damage from his base back to just 7 damage on base. And Garrett will attack with Sabine, the 2-cost unit first, 3 damage to Jordan's base. Jordan will heal 1 damage with the Iden action ability, and here comes another 3 damage with the Sabine leader unit. So Jordan back to 12 damage on, and he will claim the initiative. And now a K2SO coming down into the ground arena. So once again, 3 threats in the ground arena for Garrett. And now Garrett deciding whether or not he wants to play another card. It looked like he had a 1-cost unit in his hand. It might have been the Spec Force Soldier. So I could see the argument for playing it, and I could also see the argument for not playing that card and holding on to it in case you see another Childson. But Garrett is going to go ahead and load the board up as much as he can, and he will put the Spec Force Soldier into play. Jordan will start with the initiative again. But he is very behind right now here in Game 2. He does have 6 resources now, and he will be able to deploy Iden. And we will likely be seeing that sooner than later, as Jordan needs to stabilize the ground arena very quickly. So the Iden is deployed with Jordan's first action of the round. And now the action over to Garrett, and he is going to be trying to maximize the damage that he deals in this round, as I feel as though this could be a round where Garrett gets far enough ahead where he can likely close this game out. So the first action for Garrett will be attacking with K2SO, 4 damage to Jordan's base. Jordan now has 16 damage in total on his base. And Jordan will play a takedown, defeating the Sabine leader unit, and that will heal 1 damage from his base off of the Iden trigger. So one of Garrett's threats have been stabilized. But Garrett does still have 2 more ready units in the ground arena. And with his next action, he will attack with the Sabine 2-cost unit. Another 3 damage onto Jordan's base. Now, Jordan did play takedown, so he should have 4 exhausted resources. There he goes. There are the 4 exhausted resources. So just 2 ready resources available to Jordan. But he does have Iden, and Iden is going to attack and defeat the Spec Force Soldier. That will remove the shield token from Iden. And with the soldier being defeated, Jordan will heal 1 damage from his base. And here comes the For a Cause I Believe In. We have seen that card plenty of times here at the feature table today. Garrett revealing 3 heroism cards, so 3 damage to Jordan's base. The Precision Fire, not a heroism card. And Garrett will just discard the cards revealed. There was another For a Cause I Believe In there, so that is an interesting choice to discard the For a Cause. But Garrett may just be wanting to continue to apply the pressure using units. He will play the last card in his hand. It is a Wing Leader. 2 experience tokens onto Sabine. Jordan has retained the initiative. And Jordan is staring down 2 very frightening threats in the ground arena. A K2SO that can deal 4 damage right away, and a Sabine that can attack and deal 5 damage. Jordan does still have his Sabine, or excuse me, his Iden leader unit in play, so he will continue to heal 1 damage each time he defeats one of Garrett's units. And to start the round, Jordan will play Vanquish, defeating Sabine. And he will heal 1 damage from his base back down to 19 damage on. Just 2 resources remain ready for Jordan. And Garrett found another Wing Leader off the top of the deck. He will play the Wing Leader, giving K2SO 2 experience tokens. K2SO a 6/6 now, and Jordan will play Viper Probe Droid, which will allow him to see the 1 copy of General Dodonna in Garrett's hand. And here comes K2SO, 6 damage into Jordan's base, 25 damage in total on Jordan's base now. And Garrett still has a ready Wing Leader in the space arena. Jordan has the Iden leader unit ready, but she cannot defeat the K2SO. So Jordan just claims the initiative. 2 damage onto Jordan's base with the Wing Leader. And Garrett will use the Sabine action ability as well. Another damage onto each base, and that is 28 damage on Jordan's base. Garrett is so close once again. Can he finish it here in Game 2 and force a deciding Game 3 here in the semifinal match? The first action will be on Jordan. There's a lot of things that Jordan needs to do here. He needs to heal damage and remove threats. He cannot defeat the K2SO immediately, or only the K2SO, because he can heal 1 damage when K2SO is defeated, but K2SO could deal 3 damage with the when defeated trigger. And Jordan will play a Super Laser Blast. That is going to defeat all the units on the board. And he will resolve it in a way where he will still get to heal 3 total damage because 3 of Garrett's units are being defeated. So he will heal 3 damage from Iden's trigger. And then he will take 3 damage from K2SO, so he will stay right at 28 damage when it's all said and done. And with the next action for Garrett, Sabine action ability, 29 damage on Jordan's base. He is once again just 1 damage shy. Jordan claims the initiative. Garrett will play a Green Squadron A-Wing and General Dodonna. And now, once again, Jordan needs to quickly heal some damage from his base with the Iden leader unit no longer on the board. He's likely going to need to heal damage through Vigilance in this situation, and he does have a copy of Vigilance. Of course, he will have to heal 5 damage. And it looks like he was hoping to defeat the Green Squadron A-Wing, but with General Dodonna on the board, the A-Wing's stats sit at 2-4. He's got 2 power, 4 HP, and Vigilance only allows you to defeat a unit with 3 or less remaining HP. So he will not be able to defeat the A-Wing. He will have to choose a different option. And again, 5 damage being healed from his base is absolutely a must in this spot. So he will heal 5 damage back to 24 damage on and discard the top 6 cards of Garrett's deck. So now the action back over to Garrett. Either with General Dodonna or the A-Wing, he can immediately put 4 damage back onto Jordan's base. And would be just 2 damage shy again, but we'll see if something in his hand changes that. And he is going to play a Wing Leader, giving the Green Squadron A-Wing 2 experience tokens, so 1 attack with the A-Wing would finish the game. And Jordan has another copy of Vigilance. Vigilance will defeat the Wing Leader and heal another 5 damage from his base. Jordan back to 19 damage on. Garrett will attack with General Dodonna. 4 damage to Jordan's base for a total of 23. Jordan is able to heal another damage with the Iden action ability. And here comes the Green Squadron A-Wing, attacking for 6 damage. Between the 2 experience tokens, the Raid 2, the 1 printed power, and the additional power being given by Dodonna. So 28 damage on, and then another damage with the Sabine action ability. 29 damage on Jordan's base, just 6 damage on Garrett's base. So one Sabine action ability or an attack from any of the units Garrett has on board would finish the game. Has Jordan found a response? He has not. Garrett will take game 2. This match will go the distance, and we will have a deciding game 3 here in the semifinals at the Star Wars Unlimited 4K at SCG CON Richmond. It is time for the deciding game 3 here in the semifinal match at the Star Wars Unlimited 4K at SCG CON Richmond. And just to clear things up a little bit, we talked briefly about it at the beginning of this match, but the top 8 players did decide to split the cash prizes, and at that point, 4 of the top 8 players decided to leave. They were tired, hungry. It's been a long day, and they were ready to go. But then 4 of the 8 remaining players decided to stay and play for the trophy that Star City Games is providing for the champion. Jordan Hanning, Garrett Steedly, of course, playing it out. And the other 2 players on the other side of the bracket, Andrew Wiggs playing Vader Green and Curtis Kang playing Boba Green. That is the other semifinal match. And the winner of that match will meet the winner of this Iden and Sabine showdown in the finals. We are tied up at 1 game apiece. Jordan will start with the initiative here in game 3. And he will play an Inferno 4. And with the top 2 cards of the deck, Jordan leaves 1 on top, puts 1 onto the bottom. And Garrett, after deciding to mulligan his opening hand, he will start with a Partisan Insurgent here in round 1. Jordan just claiming the initiative, and Garrett starting things out with the Sabine action ability, 1 damage to each base. And here in round 2 to start things out, there comes the power of the dark side for Jordan, defeating the Partisan Insurgent. And then Garrett will play a red 3 into the space arena, and that leaves Jordan with a decision to make. Does he go ahead and put 2 damage onto red 3 with the Inferno 4, or does he just claim the initiative? He could attack with the Inferno 4 this turn, put 2 damage onto red 3, and then attack 1 more time next turn to defeat red 3. But that would give Garrett the initiative and potentially an immediate 3 damage at the start of the next round. He could also use the Iden action ability, and that's what he does here. He did defeat the Partisan Insurgent this round, so he will heal 1 from his base, and Garrett will use the Sabine action ability. Once again, dealing 1 damage to each base, 2 damage on Garrett's base, 1 on Jordan's base, and Jordan just claiming the initiative after trading actions with the leader's abilities. Does Jordan have another immediate removal event for red 3? Of course, we are here in round 3. We know Sabine is coming out this turn, and there is another power of the dark side. That is just so good for Jordan. 2 early copies of Power of the Dark Side, defeating red 3. Garrett will use the Sabine action ability, 1 damage to each base. And then Jordan will quickly heal that 1 damage with the Iden action ability. Sabine is deployed on Garrett's side of the board. And Jordan will attack Garrett's base for 2 damage with Inferno 4, 5 damage on Garrett's base. And Garrett will play a wing leader. That's going to put 2 experience tokens onto Sabine. Sabine will become a 4-7. Jordan just claims the initiative. And Garrett will attack Jordan's base for 5 total damage. With the 4 power that Sabine has, plus the 1 additional damage from Sabine's on attack ability. And we have 6 damage on Jordan's base, 5 damage on Garrett's base. Jordan does still have the initiative. And Jordan will play Lieutenant Childson, trying to slow down Sabine. He reveals 3 vigilance cards from his hand. That's going to give Childson 3 experience tokens, and he will become a 5-5, which means he's just big enough to survive an attack from Sabine. So Garrett uses the wing leader to attack Jordan's base for 2. And then Jordan attacking into wing leader with Inferno 4, defeating wing leader, 2 damage back onto Inferno 4. And it looks like Garrett wanted to attack Jordan's base with Sabine and forgot that Childson has Sentinel. So Jordan pointing out that Childson has Sentinel. And I think the argument right now for Jordan is Garrett still has to attack with Sabine because an attack was declared with Sabine and the only legal target is Childson. So right now, the player's discussing that with the judge, and the judge will make the decision. A little bit of an unfortunate situation here in Game 3 of the semifinal match at the Star Wars Unlimited 4K at SCG CON Richmond. Now, if Garrett does have to attack into Childson with Sabine, that would deal 4 damage to Childson, 1 damage to Jordan's base. And Garrett does still have Tarkentown. He has not used the epic action on Tarkentown here in Game 3. So with 4 damage on Childson from Sabine, Garrett could use the epic action on Tarkentown, deal 3 more damage to Childson, and that would defeat the Sentinel and clear things back up in the ground arena. So an attack with Sabine into Childson, I don't think this is a game-ending play for Garrett. There are certainly still routes to victory. Although I am sure he would rather have taken a slightly different play had he remembered that Childson had Sentinel. So Sabine does have to attack into Childson. 4 damage onto Childson, 1 damage to Jordan's base. Jordan has 9 damage on his base now. And the action is back over to Jordan. He still has the Iden action ability that he could use here in this round. And that is the exact action that Jordan will take, using the Iden action ability to heal 1 damage from his base back down to 8 damage on. So now let's see what line of play Garrett goes with. He is going to play Aggression. Aggression will defeat an upgrade on Childson, defeating Childson. And 4 damage to the Inferno 4, which will defeat Inferno 4. Jordan does get the when defeated trigger on Inferno 4, being able to look at the top 2 cards. And he will put 1 of those cards onto the bottom of the deck, 1 back on top. And Jordan will just claim the initiative. And that attack with Sabine does seem to certainly sting a bit for Garrett here in this spot, because having the aggression in hand, he did have an immediate answer for Childson, which would have allowed Sabine to go into Jordan's base untouched with no damage. So that is an unfortunate set of circumstances for Garrett. So here, starting round 5, Jordan will deploy Iden right away. And Garrett's going to play a Fleet Lieutenant, allowing Sabine to attack and get +2 power. So Sabine is going to hit Jordan's base for a total of 8 damage, 15 damage on Jordan's base now. And here comes Iden. Iden will attack and defeat Sabine, losing the shield token. And 1 damage will be healed from Jordan's base. 14 damage on. And Garrett will play a wolf into the ground arena. Jordan still has all 6 resources ready. And Jordan will play a Vanquish, taking out Wolf. That does allow Garrett to claim the initiative. And that is such an important play for Jordan, getting the Wolf off of the board, allowing him to continue to heal damage from his base with Iden in play. And Garrett having the initiative, his first action of the round will be playing another Fleet Lieutenant, which is going to allow the first Fleet Lieutenant to attack with 5 power. So 5 damage to Jordan's base. Jordan has a total of 19 damage on his base now. Garrett with 5 damage on. And the action will be back over to Jordan. Again, he still has Iden in play. 2 Fleet Lieutenants in the ground arena for Garrett now. And here comes a Count Dooku. That is going to defeat one of the Fleet Lieutenants and trigger Iden's ability, healing 1 damage from Jordan's base. And now the action back over to Garrett. He will use the Sabine action ability, dealing 1 damage to each base. 19 damage on Jordan's base, 6 damage on Garrett's base. And here comes Iden across the board, attacking and defeating Fleet Lieutenant. And Jordan will be able to heal another damage from the Iden trigger. And Garrett will play another threat into the ground arena. Saul Guerrera. Saul can be extremely good against these event-heavy decks, as he forces opponents to deal 2 damage to their base each time they play an event. But Jordan does have the initiative, and he has an immediate answer on the board for Saul. He has Count Dooku in play, which could immediately attack and defeat Saul Guerrera. And that's the play we're going to see from Jordan. Dooku defeating Guerrera. Dooku will lose the shield token, and Jordan will heal another damage from his base off of the Iden trigger, 17 damage on. And Garrett will play another copy of Wolf. That is going to stop Jordan from healing any more damage from his base this phase. And here comes another Vanquish, defeating Wolf. So Jordan has had Vanquish each time to answer Wolf. And Garrett will play an open fire, dealing 4 damage to Dooku. So Dooku defeated. Jordan attacking Garrett's base for 4 damage with Iden, 10 damage on Garrett's base. A partisan insurgent coming down into the ground arena for Garrett. And Jordan just claiming the initiative. So to start here in this round, 17 damage on Jordan's base, 10 damage on Garrett's base. And here comes Avenger. Avenger will defeat the partisan insurgent. And another damage will be healed from Jordan's base. with the Iden trigger, 16 damage on. And now Garrett will play a General Dodonna. And things not looking good here in the late game for Garrett. He still has to try and find a way to deal 14 damage and is facing down Iden and Avenger. Iden will attack Garrett's base for 4 damage. And Garrett just claims the initiative. Jordan has enough damage showing on board to finish this game between Avenger and Iden. So Garrett will either have to answer one of those units or win the game himself. And he will have to do it within 2 actions. Garrett does have the initiative. He will attack with General Dodonna into Iden, so both units defeated. The action back over to Jordan. He is going to play a Cargo Juggernaut, healing another 4 damage from his base, and that's going to do it. Garrett scoops it up, and Jordan has won the match 2-1, and he will advance to the finals to face off against Curtis King and Boba Green here at the Star Wars Unlimited 4K at SCG CON Richmond. Thank you so much to everyone joining me here for the semifinal feature match. Stay tuned for the final match coming soon. May the Force be with you, and until next time, take care.